I'm Bill Evans, and this is Thoughts from a Tolerant Man, Episode 2. In Episode 1, I mentioned how I want this podcast to be a companion to my book. I mentioned about my cross-country bicycle trip and the role that that played in the development of the book. Well, after the episode, I got to thinking, and I realized that my relationship with a bicycle was something that went back a lot further than just that trip. In fact, it went way back. You're probably familiar with the famous frontiersman Davy Crockett. Well, my generation, Davy Crockett, well, we had to be sitting in front of the television when Disney's show about him went on. And when that theme song started, Davy, Davy Crockett, I won't make you listen to the rest of it. We were there and we were watching, and sometimes in the coonskin cap that maybe we got for Christmas, and maybe with our replica, the toy replica of his gun. He was something special to kids that age. Now, you might not know that Davy Crockett actually served in Congress. You may know that he died in the Mexican War at the Alamo. Well, Davy Crockett's close companion was his rifle, Betsy. It was around this time that I got my first real bicycle. We were living in Big Spring, Texas, and it was red, and I had to give it a name. I had to name it Betsy. Well, Betsy and I were inseparable. We rode everywhere. I mean, Big Spring, Texas is essentially like living in the desert. It's not quite Death Valley, but very desert-like. Made no difference. We went everywhere. We could ride over to the rodeo grounds where you would see potential competitors practicing roping calves and riding. We might go over to the foot of Scenic Mountain, which was not really aptly named because it was more a large hill than it was a mountain. Although we did have to be a little careful about dodging rattlesnakes. But the point was, we were inseparable. Betsy and I could go anywhere we wanted, and we did. Now, we were an Air Force family, so that meant moving was something that was just normal for us. I mean, travel was something that we just did. And I went to 19 schools before I graduated from high school, so we definitely did a lot of moving. But I got very used to looking out the window and watching the world go by at 70 miles an hour. Somewhere along the way, a thought occurred that wouldn't it be cool to do that on a bicycle? And it was a reoccurring thought, and it wasn't something that I ever shared, but it was a thought that kept coming back to me. Now, after Big Spring, we moved to Riverside, California. And that was probably as big a cultural shock for my family, certainly for me, that we had ever had. As we rolled into Riverside, the sides of the street were lined with palm trees. We'd seen palm trees in movies, but just growing along the sides of the road. I looked over and saw a field where the trees were filled with oranges. Dots, just orange dots all over the tree. Now, of course, I knew oranges came from trees, but I'd never seen them. Well, Betsy and I did some serious exploring after that. I mean, there was so much to see. I mean, I remember one day coming upon a stand of bamboo growing wildly and being able to take one of them, which was a little bit tricky on the bicycle to get home, but to bring it back, and I could use it to pole vault, my version of the Olympics. But the point was, we could pretty much go anywhere that we wanted. What Betsy did was make the world reachable. Now, I didn't think much about it at the time. I mean, I didn't call what I was doing freedom or independence. It just felt like the natural way to move through the world. Looking back, I can see that something was settling in me quietly, and it was something that never really left. Some ideas don't arrive suddenly. They stay with us, quietly waiting for the moment when we finally notice them, and maybe not realizing the fact that they were there all along. And that's a thought from a tolerant man. See you next time.